All right, so here we go. If you know the sum, but not how many terms are being added, and this is the solving process for you. For example, let's do one like this. Say, um, given that Sn equals 1020, that means that at some point when we add up all the sequence numbers, eventually they will add up to this 1020. And sequence is, let's go make something easy, 5, 7, 9, and so on until the last thing. And you don't really know what the last number or even how many numbers get added. You just know eventually they'll add up to 1020. And there's a clever way to do this. This is going to require us to know the equation. Which equation to use is this one plus, let's see, dn minus 1. Okay, now there's not a question yet. So let me say, given that this the sequence of this, determine the value of n. So you're trying to find how many items, how many terms get added. Determine value of n. And we have to plug our information into this. And I'm using specifically this version of the equation because we don't know what the last number in the sequence that got added actually was. All right, let's go ahead and put our information 1020. That is the sum. N over 2 remains. 2u1 makes 10. Increases by 2, n minus 1. Okay, now we have one equation and we have one unknown, that is n. However, it occurs in two places. And so we have to do a little bit of combining like terms before we can actually solve this. And let's distribute the 2. That would be 2n minus 2, which can then be combined with the 10. 2 would be a plus 2n, and then 1020 on this side. Okay, much better looking, but still there are n's in two places. Let's get them in the same place by distributing this one. If we multiply this in here and in there, that would be 4n plus n squared, and this would be 1020. Now, not much can happen here. Not like terms. We have an n, we have an n squared, and we have just regular number 1020, and this is a quadratic. Let's go ahead and get all, I like to make the n squared first, and the 4n follows, and then it must be equal to 0 for us to use anything that we know how to do. So subtract 1020, and now we have this equation, which is a quadratic. We're going to use the quadratic formula. And a is 1, b is 4, and c will be negative 1020. Okay, and by the way, negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right, so let's go ahead and plug those in and calculate it. That would be negative b would be negative 4 plus or minus square root 16 minus 4 times a times c. Let's go ahead and calculate this. 480. So there's a minus as a formula, but c itself is negative. There's two negatives in a row, and it'll look like that. When there's two negatives in a row, you can turn them both to positive, and then this will be all over 2. So things are plugged into the quadratic formula. We're going to continue going with this. If I add these together and then square root the result, n would equal negative 4 plus or minus, let's go ahead and do that, square root 16 plus 480, 64 over 2. Okay, from here we're going to do this once with the plus in the equation, and again with the minus. In the plus case, n would be equal to 30, and in the minus case, n would be equal to negative 68, 34, but negative. And in sequences, negative values are not allowed, so the final answer is this one, in fact.